You're tuned in to Ask the Master Auto Technician. Car questions? Get answers right now. Call 850-763-0555.
James Auto Center, we fix it right, guaranteed. Beep, 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 yeah.
All right, good morning, everybody. This is going to be Friday morning's edition. We're going to do Hanson Hindenburg from Baytown Tires, and we're going to go to Mark Sarlo should be calling, and we'll get him on here a little later. But Hanson, you posted on your Facebook wall about a General Tires photo about tires. That it says a 245 45 ZR 1795W, and I remember last week you talked about an L7815, and that's something that well tires used to be labeled like that, like you had F78, L78. What do these numbers mean? Like the 245 45. These today's numbers mean. Would you like to explain that for those that have no idea what those numbers mean?
Well, it's not easy to. Unfortunately, they don't make it easy.
No.
The first number basically indicates the height in millimeters. The second number indicates the width. Mm-hmm. But the first two numbers work together to give you basically the overall dimensions of the tire, both height and width.
So 245. So
there's no easy explanation.
Okay.
Usually, the higher the first number is, the taller the tire is.
Oh. Okay.
And the lower the second number is, the wider the tire is.
Oh, so if it was 245/40, it would be the same height, but it'd be a wider tire if I had 40 on there.
Correct,
but
it's actually going to be a little bit shorter as well, because the two numbers give you an equation to give you the overall dimension of the tire.
Okay.
Not like you used to be able to buy a 31 10 50 15.
Yes.
It'd be 31 inches tall, 10.5 inches wide at the tread, and that'd be pretty simple. You knew exactly what it was. But this formula kind of gives you the overall dimension, the width and the height.
Now, so these two numbers together, like L78. I guess that's what that was back when I was a kid. L78 would mean, because it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G is how they were labeled back then. But L was about the biggest tire you could buy for a passenger car, and 78 was the width.
Correct.
And 15 would tell me it was the 15-inch wheel, and that's all we had. But now we've got construction type. What is that on tires? Like the ZR. What does that mean?
The construction type, the ZR is the speed rating. So the sidewall construction is going to be stiffer. So for you to be able, and you talked about it before a lot of times also, is rolling resistance. Mm-hmm. So the higher the letter is, like a ZR or HR, would mean that the sidewall is rated up to 140 or 170 miles plus an hour. So to be able to achieve that, the sidewall has to be stiffer. If you had a regular passenger tire sidewall, you'd probably put so much torque on it that it'll blow out.
So ZR would be the highest. So Z would be the A, B, C, D. Z being the last one. That's a high speed rated tire.
A high speed rating, 170 plus miles an hour.
What is the R? Is that
radial?
Radial. Okay.
That gives you the construction of the tire. But unless you're putting a trailer tire on your car, you're not going to find a bias ply tire anymore. Okay,
I like I said, I really don't know what these numbers are, because I've been out of the tire industry for years and years, and it's changed so much. But ZR, I mean, they have two numbers, but the Z tells me it's a high-speed rated tire and it's a radial. If I had a number like, say, I'm just going to throw a number, HR would be a not as high-speed rated, but it'd still be a radial tire. But do they make them like HR rated or whatever?
Yeah, okay. HR is a pretty common speed rating as well. Like even on a regular Honda Accord, the tires are usually H rated, which means that they're good up to 140 miles an hour. And you go like, well, I don't ever drive 140 miles an hour.
I hope not.
But it has a lot to do with how the suspension and the steering react too, because the tire will give you different feedback because the sidewall is constructed differently.
That's true. They are. The lower the profile of the tire, it seems to be the more stiffer the ride as well. Like these low-profile tires I see, that these guys put on these big wheels and everything. I've gone for test drives in them, and you run over a dime, you can tell if his heads or tail. Hey, that was heads on that dime there, because they seem to be a lot stiffer. I guess that's because they don't have a lot of flexibility in the sidewall, so they have to be stiff.
Well, and some companies, that specifically engineer higher speed rated tires. Like if you look at Mercedes or BMW, I don't know, even we see Lotus sometimes. That like Continental or Michelin or some of the Goodyears, they try to figure out how to make the tire a little bit stiffer, but also make it ride soft. And that's where the magic happens. And that's where the more expensive tires usually do a much better job.
Okay, so I guess that would be the load index then? That's the next one I saw on here.
Yeah, the load index is kind of funky. There's really...
Everything's funky on this thing.
Well, like if you have the load index being 98 or 104, they go by a government chart of what the minimum poundage that tire should hold.
Okay.
And it really is... It's not arbitrary, but it's difficult. You have to have the chart in front of you.
So, just for a rule of thumb, it's say a 95 would not carry as much as 105?
Correct.
Okay, so the higher the load index, the more weight it can carry then, correct?
Right.
So LT tire, a light truck tire would have a higher load index. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. I'm just trying to...
And LT, again, would indicate that the sidewall is stronger to be able to carry more weight. Now, if it has even a lot of the trucks that Ford F-150 comes with a P.
Yes.
That means it still can carry quite a bit of weight, but the sidewall is softer to be able to get the ride. If you put an LT tire under, yes, it can carry more weight, but the sidewall is stiffer again.
All right, so that's what it is. So the construction type, I used to think that speed rating was the Z, like the ZR was the speed rating, but apparently that's not the speed rating on a tire. According to this chart up here, they have something, the very last letter is a W on this tire you're showing from General.
Well, the Z, the W means that it's the absolute, they still go with different ratings. It actually, a W-rated tire is a Z-rated tire.
Okay, I don't know these things. It's very confusing.
I just don't want your viewers to go like, man, they're glazing over with all these letters.
They are
bored.
It's not that it's so boring, but there's so much information that on tires today that didn't used to be on there. I mean, I know there was always the width and the size and all that, but there wasn't much in there about load index that I knew of, or speed rating, or construction type. It was normally like P245. 45, 15, something like that. That's what we had.
Again, and then you could get even deeper. The DOT tells you everything about the tire, basically. And, I have a chart. I can tell you exactly where the tire was manufactured and, of course, when it was manufactured, what line it was on. So you can really, the history of the tire, what it's made of, where it came from, is on that tire.
The only thing I know about the DOT number is the last 4 digits, but here in the last week or two, I've actually had cars come in with 3 digits on them. I kind of look at them. I had a 79 car come in yesterday. I'm looking at it. It only had 22,000 miles on it and had the original tires on it. I'm not kidding you. A 22,000-mile Trans Am Firebird. Beautiful. Beautiful car. Had 22,000 miles on it. Never seen anything quite like it before. But I looked at the tires and went, hey, these are the original tires. They were made in 1978. I can't believe that. It had 8/42. It was made in the 42nd week of 78. And I'm going, I did not even know they had ratings back then that far. I had no idea how things have changed since then. But that tire still looked good because all it stayed was in a garage. It never was driven. It just stayed up on blocks, and he only takes it out once a year to get maintenance done on it, whether it needs it or not. That's all he does with it. But tires have gotten so much more complicated as far as the numbers on there, and I guess that's because they want to find out if there's a problem, they can recall them, or they can make sure they're more. That's one reason all the numbers on there. Find out where the problem is, but at the same time, they want to make sure they're more custom fitted to the drive and suspension of the vehicle. All these numbers right here, you wouldn't dare put a car that's designed for a Chevrolet on a Mercedes, or vice versa. Well,
and even there, you can get more into it. Like if you ever see a tire, part of the description has an MO on it. MO. That means it's specifically made for Mercedes. It's tuned specifically for Mercedes.
I had no idea. So
again, or BMW has specific markings on there. telling that tire was specifically manufactured for that vehicle.
Whoa! Well, sheesh, I just saw a Mercedes yesterday commercial for one. Speaking of that is an autonomously driven car. It's the concept car, but they're talking about it being a concept car, but they're talking about it's an E-Class. It steers itself, it stops itself, just kind of like the Tesla, but a little bit more on steroids. And it's Mercedes. And I had no idea that these cars are coming out. And I bet you those tires are special tires for that vehicle, that E-Class.
Well, we've always, especially you talk about, tires, they're usually made specifically, for that vehicle now with lower rolling resistance, higher speeds. And, we're not far off to where the tire will probably be able to talk directly to the vehicle, saying, "Hey, I'm worn out," or "I need attention. I need to be rotated." That's give you that feedback.
Yeah. Now, normally the only feedback we got when a tire needs to be rotated is that terrible noise you hear going down the highway from there when they've been cut so much for going too long, and now it's too late to rotate them.
Or you heard that flap noise when it blew out.
Yes.
You knew it was time.
Oh, Lord have mercy. And we see that often out there. Because a lot of people don't believe in rotating tires. Do you still have people coming in there and say, "I don't believe in rotating"?
All the time. And, I look at it and I go, "Well, you never rotated these tires. That's why the front two are so bad." "Oh, yeah. But they shouldn't have worn like that. I should get at least 50,000 miles out of them." But almost all manufacturers, 6 months, 6,000 miles is what they recommend for tire rotation. And you have to do rotate them at least every 7,500 miles. Otherwise, the warranty becomes void.
I'm surprised. I have people come in here all the time that say, "I don't rotate my tires." I look at them and go, "Why do you not rotate your tires?" They go, "If I add up all the money it costs me to rotate and balance my tires, at the end of 30,000 miles, I could buy a new set of tires." And I kind of look at them and go, "Well, at the end of 30,000 miles, you're probably going to be dead because one of these tires are going to blow out and get you killed." I said, "That's my biggest problem." I said, "You cannot continue to drive cars without rotating them. Whoever told you that myth is not telling you the truth."
Well, and the tire is going to handle differently, too. If it's worn down, wet traction is going to be compromised.
Everything's compromised. Handling, traction, stopping ability, cornering. I mean, everything is compromised because the tire gets a wear pattern, because the tires on the front end are aligned completely different as far as camber and caster as the rear tires. And they're going to wear different. The tires on the rear are going to wear different from the front, and vice versa. That's why they want you to have them.
And the active suspension that most newer cars have, even inexpensive cars, means that the tire actually pivots when you're going down there. It doesn't stay flat. It actually moves inward, leaning into the corner that you're turning into.
It's amazing how cars have developed so much. Hanson, we're up against the clock. It's been almost 13 minutes we've been on. It's incredible here. Time flies when I'm on here with you. But people can reach you if they want to know more about tires or getting tires fixed at Baytown Tires at 873-8900, correct?
We'll be here all day till 5.
And on Saturdays as well till
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. Sounds good. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
James Auto Center, we fix it right, guaranteed. Beep, 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 beep.